On today's episode of the Cryptoverse, there's an increasing number of ramblings about Bitcoin Unlimited gaining traction, so let's check in. Dash is the privacy-focused digital currency that offers transactions with instant confirmations. Its unique, decentralized decision-making and self-funding system make it an ideal choice as a stable and secure digital cash. Click the link in the video description to learn more. Hi there guys, and welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse, which is your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchains. I, as ever, am your host, Chris Coney. Today is the 20th of January, 2017, so let's get into today's episode. Let us begin by looking at coinmarketcap.com, where we look for the biggest winner and the biggest loser of the day. Well, we have a newbie. It's not a newbie, but it's just gained a position as the 20th most capitalized coin, and it's, excuse me if I murdered the name, Golem or Gollum. Golem, either way. The ticker symbol is GNT. It has gained 10.27% of its value in the last 24 hours, making a Golem token. I'll say Golem because otherwise it's Lord of the Rings, isn't it? So a Golem token is now worth roughly 2 cents, putting that blockchain about $16 million in total market cap. Now, if you want to know what the Golem blockchain is, it's one of these donate your computing power to these projects type of thing. You know, rent out your spare computing capacity, and then they'll use it for all kinds of stuff. Like on their website here, they have things listed like, if companies want to render 3D computer graphics, stock market predictions, machine learning, all this sort of stuff, they can crowdsource all that computing power from me and you and your laptop and all that sort of stuff, and then pull that all together. Even, it says here, even like a massive distributed mining pool, and then monetize that computing power for all these various uses, right? So we can earn a bit of crypto, and that's the way it is, right? So I've heard of Golem before. I've never actually installed it and used it though. So this is what I normally do. I wait for it to get my attention, like by popping into the top 20. And now what I'm going to do is download the thing. It's in alpha version. I'm going to download it and run it. That's the very first thing that I do. I don't read about it forever and a day. I go, that sounds interesting. And then I actually start experimenting with it myself. And then I report to you guys. That's kind of the way I get down. Anyway, moving on to the biggest loser of the day, we have Waves, 14th most capitalized coin, down 3.86%, making a Waves token worth 24 cents each. Now, Waves is, let me switch over to its tab. This is like it's like BitShares in the sense that you can create your own blockchain-based assets. So you can kind of do this on BitShares by creating what they call user-generated assets. But this is going to be a dedicated platform just for that. Now, I've already downloaded and played with Waves in the past. It's a very nice little wallet they've got going on there, so you can download and play with that. Don't believe it's fully launched yet, so keep your eye out for when that finally does launch. So that's all for the market roundup. Let's go take a look at the Bitcoin price chart. Here we are over on bitcoinwisdom.com. I'm going to try and look at both the dollar chart and the yuan chart, having discussed a few things with people in the comments yesterday. Some of the traders among you were pointing out like, well, you can't just look at the US dollar price because that's not the whole story. And considering the volume in China and the market share that the Chinese have in terms of Bitcoin prices and volume, it's not giving me the full picture if I just look at the dollar. Now, I don't want to make this into an investing show, but I mean, and in fact, this segment is getting bigger, so I need to stop rambling about it and just take a quick look and a quick comment. But anyway, let's see what we've got here. We're still below the $900 mark. Based on the last 3 days, I would say this is consolidation because the range is quite tight here. Look, we've got these three candles that are almost side by side. The body of the candle's down, then the candle's up, and then it's down. But roughly, it's the bodies of the candles are all in line. So that's a sideways movement. I mean, it's only 3 days worth, but that's where we're at right now. Nothing else to say about that, really. Moving averages still trending up, still slightly below the $900 mark, which is the next point to break and then confirm. In terms of the yuan chart, it looks similar but not identical, right? So the main thing you'll notice about this one is that the bottoms of the candle bodies are sort of scraping along the 50-day moving average. So that's acting like a moving line of support over the last 3 days. And this is where it's going to be beneficial for me to check in with the yuan chart every day, because you find, even in Forex, when I used to trade Forex, you find that certain assets have a certain character. And by that I mean they develop this personality, the way they behave, the certain types of interactions they have with certain points and indicators. You sort of get to know them as if it was an organic being. And then you can sort of intuitively say, nah, I know how the yuan behaves. It's going to do this, right? And that's kind of trader's intuition. You kind of have to balance the science and the technical analysis with that unconscious long-term knowing that you have, having got to know a particular asset over time. So I'm going to keep an eye on the yuan chart as we go forward and see if I can get to know it. Now, the news today is provided by Bitcoin.com. After I scoured the internet, it was a toss-up between this article and an article on the Cointelegraph, which was giving an update about the Chinese exchanges ceasing margin trading. It's now officially been announced by the two major exchanges in China. So go to the Cointelegraph if you want to check out that article. It was a rumor to begin with. I announced it on an episode. It's now confirmed. So check that out. But for today, we're going to look at this article called Network Alternative. Bitcoin Unlimited is closing in on its opponent's, quote, segregated witness. So today, the topic we're going to discuss is squarely inside the category of Bitcoin scaling. And for those of you that are new around here, that basically translates to increasing the capacity of the Bitcoin network to handle a greater volume of transactions. Because at the moment, the Bitcoin network can only process between 3 and 7 transactions per second. So that is nowhere near enough, especially when you consider that the Visa network handles about 2,000 transactions per second on average, and it peaks on a daily basis at around 4,000 transactions, and it has a total theoretical capacity of 56,000 transactions per second. So we've got a long way to go. So let's see how we're going to get there. Going down here to the first bit. The article says that a number of blocks mined using the alternative Bitcoin client called Bitcoin Unlimited is increasing. So the way we vote for a change on the Bitcoin network is by mining Bitcoin using any one of the versions of the Bitcoin software. And then once a tipping point is reached, the blockchain forks and the new, quote, laws, if you like, come into force. And at that point, if you decide not to abide by the laws, you're not allowed to participate in the network. It's pretty precise. Then the article goes on to say here in the orange that the quiet adoption, which has seen Bitcoin Unlimited go from 0 blocks to 200 blocks per 1,000, and that's happened in less than 6 months. Okay, so we're going to refer to Bitcoin Core and SegWit in this article, as well as Bitcoin Unlimited, but you can consider Bitcoin Core and SegWit to be the same thing, okay? And then the alternative is Bitcoin Unlimited. Now, I don't know if anyone has been discussing this, but I don't see any reason why we couldn't just do both. I mean, why don't we just have 8 megabyte SegWit blocks? I mean, SegWit makes better use of the storage space inside blocks, and then if we increase the block size at the same time, we get the best of both worlds, don't we? Hey, let me know in the comments below. So moving on to this next headline that says Bitcoin Unlimited enjoying growth in adoption. It says mining pools via BTC, India's GB miners, and Bitcoin.com, which is another mining pool, are examples of mining pools with Bitcoin Unlimited and comprise currently altogether approximately 13% of the Bitcoin network, well actually the Bitcoin network's mining power, bringing the total signaling support for Bitcoin Unlimited up to 17%. And it also says here that Bitcoin Classic, which was another scaling proposal, has now pretty much merged with Bitcoin Unlimited. So if they can merge scaling solutions, why can't we have 8 megabyte SegWit blocks? And I suppose there's 2 answers to that. One is from a technical point of view, and then one is from a political point of view. So then we have here a chart. It says the following chart demonstrates how, in just the past week, Bitcoin Unlimited historical blocks per 1,000 have reached an all-time high. And then, the chart shows all this big spike and then sort of flattening, and then another big spike recently, and it's sort of just below 190 blocks per 1,000. And what the article quoted a second ago, 17%, so that would be 170 blocks in 1,000, wouldn't it? So this data is provided by a site that I check every single day, which is coin.dance. I believe they're doing a great service to the Bitcoin community, so I appreciate them for that. Let's move down to the next section here, where it says, since October, the number of Bitcoin Unlimited nodes, to be sure, has skyrocketed. And you can see on this chart, around about September, actually the end of September last year, there's this massive increase in the number of Bitcoin Unlimited nodes. So, whoa, hold on, before we get lost here, now we're talking about the number of nodes running Bitcoin Unlimited rather than the amount of blocks mined using Bitcoin Unlimited. So to my knowledge, the number of nodes running a particular version of the software doesn't have any impact on the vote whether the network should fork or not, because this is all down to the miners. Now, please correct me if in the comments if that's inaccurate, but I'm pretty sure that that's the case, since the miners are the only ones who can determine the longest chain. In fact, I'm almost certain about that. So the question I have is, what difference does it make how many nodes are running a particular development of the Bitcoin core software? And then final graph here, we have something that says, with all this in mind, SegWit still dominates the number of blocks mined. And what you'll notice about this chart is that SegWit is high, but heading down towards the right-hand side of the chart, and Bitcoin Unlimited is low, but it's trending up. Now, if both of these trends continue, then eventually they'll meet and then they'll cross, at which time we are at that tipping point that I talked about. So there's a long way to go yet, but And then finally here, under the heading of what is Bitcoin Unlimited, it says, Bitcoin Unlimited has pledged support for the Lightning community and other off-chain technologies. Now, technical question for you techies out there. What does Bitcoin Unlimited propose to do to deal with transaction malleability? So when Bitcoin Unlimited is spoken about in opposition to SegWit, I don't ever see this mentioned, so I'd appreciate your insight on that. So conclusion time. Ultimately, even 8 megabyte blocks would only increase the network capacity by a factor of 8, which would take us up to 56 transactions per second. And that's nice and all, but it's still ridiculously small compared to the 2,000 transactions per second that the Visa network does on average. So while there's been all this intense debate, it's an argument over solutions that are temporary at best. And at the moment, the Lightning Network, to me, is the only technology that promises to provide the capacity to not only catch up with Visa, but to actually blow it completely out of the water. And that's really why we need SegWit. So I look forward to your comments and counter arguments in the comments below, as always. So thanks for joining me today, guys. If you liked this episode, hit the like button. If you disliked it, hit the dislike button. Please leave me a comment below with some feedback and get subscribed. And please support the Cryptoverse and boost cryptocurrency adoption by going to cryptoversity.com/podcast and becoming a patron. From as little as $10 a month, you can secure Cryptoversity's future, get unlimited access to all Cryptoversity courses, and access a private patrons-only chat group where you get direct access to me. That is all for today, guys, and for this week. So I will be back on Monday with another episode of the Cryptoverse. So until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.